Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar. I'm Michał Sikora and at StruSoft I take care of Impact. Impact is our solution for precast industry with two sides to it. There's the Impact design, which we won't be talking about today. It's the solution for basically designing precast elements and doing shop drawings, etc. Impact production, on the other hand, which we will talk about today, is the solution specifically targeted towards production planning of precast elements from the models. Okay, so let's go over our agenda a bit for today. So first, I'll show how to assign the erection sequence to elements. Okay, this will be useful if you plan on creating transport or storage stacks, which will allow you to take into account the proper order of elements. So then when they are sent on site, they are basically laid out in the proper order, so they can either be erected or stored on site in proper queue as such. So during erection there won't be no issues if you know the order of erecting the elements. We'll talk about rough planning dates. This, on the other hand, will allow you to pre-plan basically the project and automatically plan out those dates with certain dependencies in the software, which I'll describe a bit later. We'll of course talk about automatic cast planning about elements. So you will be able to select elements and automatically plan them on cast units. We'll talk about quality control in Impact Go app. It's Impact Go NG, that's the name of the app. We'll use it. I'll share my screen from my phone directly, so we'll be able to see it live. We'll also talk about reports and how to create those, how easy it is. We will control the elements in the app as well, set storage location or maybe change statuses of the elements, things like that. If there are any disorders, you can also mark that. And of course, in the end, we'll talk about stack and transport planning. So we'll see how to create stacks like you see on screen right now. But with that done, let's go ahead and actually go to Impact. So that's here. That's Impact, and rather not even Impact, but Impact Project Manager. So Impact is a system as a whole, but the main application that Impact uses is Project Manager, which contains the database that you create while creating the project, or rather while modeling the project. We support external applications as well to create that model and import that into Impact, but on that maybe at a different time. What you see on screen, as mentioned, that's done in Impact Design. There's a bunch of different types of elements here. There's some sandwich panels, some hollow cores, maybe form slabs, some pre-stressed slabs as well. On the left here, you can see a tree of the model. So you can see the different floors, and if you expand the trees as well, you can see each individual element type inside that tree. And if you expand further, then you will see each and every individual element. So maybe best example would be sandwich panels. If I click on one here, it gets highlighted on the screen in the model as well. Now, of course, for ease of planning or ease of use of the software, you can go ahead and isolate, for example, a floor. So just a double click on the floor on the left in the tree, and you will be easily be able to isolate what you really wish. That goes for individual element types as well, so like hollow cores, your sandwich panels, slabs, so balconies and whatnot. So yeah, that's how you can work in Impact. And if you really wish, I misclicked here, you can isolate an individual element. The remaining stuff that you see on the screen, on the right, there's the element properties section, and on the bottom of the screen is the cast planning module, which we will be talking about a little bit further down the line today. But right now, let's close up the notification here. We don't need that. And yeah, once that's done, we can start moving on to the erection planning. So I opened up the erection planning tab on the bottom section of the screen, which will allow me to select the elements that I want and select the order in which those elements will be erected on site. So that's useful, as mentioned, in order to properly create stacks of elements. You can either hold control on your keyboard and left click on the elements like so, one by one, or you can just hold shift as well along with control, and then you'll get this nice line. Basically the order in which the line crosses the elements is the order the elements will be erected, which I'll demonstrate that shortly. Right, click, 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 and I can add those elements here. They'll be added here. You'll see a new erection sequence in a second. That's quite a bit of walls to add, so it'll just add them for some reason pretty slowly, but yeah, it happened finally. So basically, if I apply that, it will be now saved, but I want to first apply the erection sequence on the remainder of the elements. So maybe let's go to walls now. Let's just click the walls that I want to mark first, or rather not mark, but rather erect first. I can declick an element, that's no issue. Basically the order in which the elements are highlighted will be the one included for the erection sequence. So if I click on an element too far, I can just unclick it and click the element before it. It should be fine. I'll add it to the sequence. It will be added here. It added that quickly. So that's already 63 elements for us here. Now maybe let's go to hollow cores like that. And let's actually hold control and shift. And with that, it will mark all the hollow cores here. And I'll just add those as well. I think it added, yeah, it did. And now let's go to form slabs. I'm just gonna add the erection sequence on all the elements on the first floor, because I'm working just on the first floor of that building, just isolated that. Let's add columns. I should have probably added columns before I added slabs, but yeah, that's fine. For demonstration purposes, I think we're good. You can of course fence over the elements as well, add everything, beams, columns, and yeah, balcony slabs as well. And I think we'll be good. We will be good. Add those elements and apply. I'll apply that to the model. There's also, I think, pre-stressed slabs, but we'll verify soon enough. Okay, it's been saved. So let me refresh the full model. Okay, I'll zoom in here. There's some data on the element mark that you can see. There's SW18, that's sandwich wall 18, the ID is 20, and the ES, which is erection sequence, is 1 in this case, and it is assigned to every single element. Each element gets their own unique ID, element ID. That's because we can have, like, for example, here we have hollow core 11, hollow core 11, hollow core 11. Those are 3 or 4, even more identical slabs here. And each and every one of them is treated as an individual element in the software. So element mark is the same, yes, correct. But still, each and every one of those slabs needs to be produced, so it gets treated individually in the software. Okay, so that's out of the way. Let me verify if I assigned the erection sequence to all the elements. Probably not. No, I didn't. But we can verify that much more easily. So I can go to the element IDs tab, and from this tab will be where we will be doing the planning. What I see here is the erection sequence column as well, and in my case it's set to ascending, so those are the elements that we've assigned the erection sequence, but the red X clearly indicates that something's amiss. So let me just mark those elements, add them here, and just assign the erection sequence. I won't care too much about the order for the pre-stressed slabs in this model. We're not going to be dealing with it for now. But I'll go to a simulate tab here, and I'll just click play. Of course, it shows me the other floors as well, because it would be better if it showed the everything in the project. But you can show a small little simulation on the floors that you care about, or rather the whole process. So yeah, it gives like a nice visual indication that everything's in order. So you can quickly verify that actually the erection sequence is assigned correctly. Maybe you can check if maybe the order of placement of elements is good. Maybe you skipped a wall or something, and you can see that. There's no issue then fixing that up with within Element IDs tab in here. Well, let's go back to cast planning. And now let me tell you about the cast planning in Impact. Okay, so cast planning, or rather the production planning in Impact works pretty easy. It's pretty easy and pretty intuitive. You input a date for a particular stage. Preferably it either is the planned erection date or planned drawing date. Why? I'll tell you in a second. But once you input those dates, basically you will be allowed to, or not you will be allowed. Impact will actually autofill the remaining dates for you, so you don't have to think too consciously about it. And how Impact does that? That's by creating proper inputs in the project properties for the project. Now you can set it up in the planning tab. Basically, the first section, so I'll just collapse this one, RAF planning dependencies. Basically, here you decide whether you want to utilize this particular impact production feature. So the planning dependencies, so you can automatically fill in the planned dates for the delivery, the storage, production, and drawing. You can specify, of course, if you want a warning or not, if dependencies are fulfilled or not. So if your actual planning changes dates, you can create a warning here. You can specify the order of dependencies. For demonstration purposes, I typically present it from the erection date, as typically that would be what you would know. Basically, a client requires particular elements on site on this particular day. So planned erection date makes sense to me mostly, but you can plan the other way around. So if you know that drawings will be done, if you know the drawings will be done on a particular day, that's where you can start doing the remainder of the production planning. So your production date, your storage and delivery and erection dates. As mentioned, we'll go with planned erection date. Now below that is required time between dates. It's pretty self-explanatory in the name of it. Basically, and here you basically have the date that's a base of the calculation, so planned erection date in our case, and both the delivery date difference, storage difference, production date difference, and drawing date difference. Basically, it says that before production you need a week, and then after production you need 2 days before it goes to storage, and etc., right? Pretty self-explanatory. Of course, you can change those to fit your needs. I'm just going to accept that. And with that, let's actually move on to planning. Okay, so I'm going to isolate in here because I see all the elements that I have. So what I'll do is I'll simply isolate sandwich panels, and it's super easy. You just double click on the sandwich here, and it will significantly reduce the number of elements I have in my table. Simply put, it's much easier to control that. What I'll do here is I'll select 15 walls. There's 30 sandwich panels in the project. I know because I already played around with the project quite a bit. You can press right click on the selected cells and you can go to planning and set date. With that, get remember some last date that I used for planning. So let's go to October. Why? No, simply put, I do have some planned projects in September from other demonstrations, so I want us to have less conflicts in the planning, but that wouldn't really be an issue. Now, I don't really know the full calendar that we will demonstrate today, so it might be that some elements will be from other projects as well, but I'll demonstrate that. So let's go and actually decide that we want to erect those walls on the 20th of October. Let's apply that. And the remainder of walls I want to actually put up on the next day. So the 21st, right? So let's go do that and apply. And we've got the date set. Now, once I click save, the remaining dates for sandwich panels will be fulfilled. or not fulfilled, rather filled. Sorry, the elements will not be fulfilled yet, not until we click stuff. And yeah, so that's your rough planning. You go from here, basically. You've got your dates, you've got your planned production dates, you've got your planned drawing dates. For the sake of this webinar, let's assume that drawings are already done for the project, so we don't have to worry about it. But yeah, one thing you see here is also a status column. Yeah, you can set statuses on the elements. You can set whether the elements are ready for production or not. So let me just select all the elements here, and I can go and for planning I can set ready for productions and save that, which will save the elements as ready for production. Basically, drawings are done, so they are ready for production. Okay, I'll not do one thing yet, but let's go to, in my cast planning, you see a date here, right? So I can change the date to October, and I want 14th of October. Okay, let's see. Okay, it's empty. I see my tables are empty for my sandwich panels. I also have factory settings for different types of elements. I have a hollow core factor, which we'll utilize in a bit, and wall panels and slabs table settings. What might be more intuitive for us to here to see is we can, for example, increase the number of days that we see. Let's change that to 5. So it will give us more of an overview of what's happening at the factory. So I have 5 days view basically on the whole factory. So a full week's worth of production control or their overview. Okay, once that's done, let me actually select the elements that I want to produce on this day. So those are the elements, and I'm going to actually click on this icon. It's auto bed management, right? And here I can do some settings. First, multicast, which is important. Basically, multicast allows Impact to, in case that there's not enough capacity in the tables to create the elements, it will automatically move the elements that just don't fit onto the next day. Okay, so basically it takes as many days to produce what we select. Then there's the element assignment on cast, alignment, not assignment. Basically you can specify to which edge of the table the elements should be aligned to. Then there's the cast order. Some basic settings here available, width, then length, ascending, descending, action sequence reversed, and there's the also selection order. Let's leave it as default. And you can specify cast time. So if you know that some elements will take more than a day to cast, then of course you can input here, for example, 2 or 3, however much you need, however long you need. Then in the use cast unit, basically you decide which cast units you want to use for this particular selection, because maybe you don't want to use a particular cast table because you know it will be used in some other project, so you just want to keep it free. You can do that. So you can start, and what will happen now, Impact will automatically cast the elements or place the elements on cast tables in here, and like that we see what happened. So we've had 15 walls, there's 15 walls for sure, and there's one full bed. No, and this one seems pretty empty, but simply put, this element couldn't fit in there. Again, we specified an order in which the elements were placed, and this one simply ran out of space, and it was placed on October the 15th. Now we have those elements that were supposed to be made on 15th, and let me just select the remainder of the elements, and let's cast them on the next day, like that, and just start that, and we'll see the remaining tables will be also populated in software. As you can see, the status also changes to 30, so this basically means the elements are planned. Let me go back one day. If I go back one day, basically if I have a multi-view, it always shows the first day as the one that's selected for casting. I want to show you the whole 30 walls placed on tables. So basically that's our first sandwich wall that didn't fit in the first cast, and that's the remainder that's set, and the last two walls are placed on another day. One thing of note, that's a detailed view. You can also use a calendar view, which will, for example, show you the capacity on some other tables and other projects, and shows it in such a way. You've got your tables, you've got your dates, basically you see what's happening. And if I go to the 14th October, we should see the project we are working on. And yeah, that's it. That's the elements that you see on the tables. So that's nice planned. There's some color coding, of course, to the tables in here in the calendar view. So yeah, you can decide on the color coding, what it should mean for you, and what color should be used as well. Okay, so now that's done. If need be, of course, you can change the settings. You can, for example, of course, add some dimensions, which will give you a nice overview of what can happen, or the sizing of elements and whatnot in the cast planner. So as you can see, there's dimensions. That's the height of the wall, the width of the wall, and of course some remainder distance to the end of the table, as well as the spacing between the elements. The spacing in between the elements you can of course change in the settings. So if you require more or less space between the elements, then you can accommodate that, no problem. All right, so we've planned sandwich panels. Let me go back to the model view. Yeah, and elements, you can see they have changed colors. Let's go to floor 1. As you can see, the status color index, it might be hard to see on your screen, but white means no planning. And then you've got planned for production for the elements that are planned for production now. So let us go hollow cores. Let's select all the hollow cores. Let's set them, go for planning and set ready for productions. This will save the status on the elements. It will refresh that. Thanks for a bit. Once it's done thinking, element IDs. Hollow cores, for some reason it didn't accept the planning set ready for production. Okay, for some reason didn't accept that from the model view. If I go again first floor, you can see the different statuses between the elements are color coded. Maybe not a fortunate color for ready for production, as it's basically the background color, but you'll get the idea. Right. So let's move on to element IDs, and let's go to hollow cores, and let's actually plan those out as well so we can clearly see them. Let me go here like that, and I want to produce those hollow cores. We have quite a bit of capacity in those on the production beds here, and we don't have yet a delivery date on those. So let's go and add the delivery date first. Let's go planning, let's go again set date. And let me go, let's go a week later than walls, okay? Because there's probably gonna be some work that needs to be done before walls are set. Apply and save. And it will automatically populate that for us. With that, let us move a week later to 22nd. That's the production date that we came up with. Oh, I think I went a bit too far and on the erection date on this. But yeah, that's fine. Now, let's just select all the walls. I can do that from the table here. I could go from the view here. I would just need to click on this icon and actually put it on the beds as well. There's some warning that's popping up, and that's because I also didn't have the settings, the window that with AutoCAD planning settings. So it places the elements like this, and if I don't like it, I can simply delete the elements from cast planning. You of course remove the elements from cast planning. You don't remove them from the project, right? So let me go ahead and actually mark the elements again. Oops. Okay, they've been assigned a factory now. All right, that's because I've added those elements to the cast. let's make it easier. And the easiest way is, of course, to use the AutoCast. There's the multicast available, and I want to use just the HC1, 2, and 3 beds. And what we'll do is I'll accept that. This time you'll see that it simply won't give me a warning about like sizes or that it didn't fit all the elements on the bed. That's because once you pull that from the model onto the cast bed, it basically gives a doesn't give you the option to do a multicast. So you have to be very deliberate. Okay, the way that it works, of course, is it tries to place the elements as they should be on the cast bed. So it might not be the most optimal way in terms of hollow cores here, but you can move the elements around, right? So of course this element would probably be first created like from start to finish, and then the cutout would be created. And this, or maybe not the most optimal cutout actually for the hollow core, but that's the project that we're working with. You can move the elements on the beds like that, and you can move the elements between beds as well. So I'll demonstrate that in a second. So right now we've got the dimensions calculated from end of the hollow core, from one end, or rather one start, the other start, and of course get some other dimensions between elements as well. So a bunch of different dimensions that you can have, and it will work. Of course, the spacing between elements. If we go back to the sandwich panels section of it, right? That's gonna be the sandwich panels are gonna be a week earlier. Yeah. So sandwich panels. I'll show you how to move them, rotate them as well, because it might be more visible on the those cast beds. So for example, this wall, I can align this wall, for example, top. It should move it to the top of the bed, top in the view, of course. Just FYI. Yep. So we'd move that, and if need be, of course, you can rotate that 90 degrees. It of course thinks a bit to realign that, so everything's good. And if need be, you can of course move that element by hand. It will try to place it nicely for us. Of course, it will try maybe to snap it to the edges. Typically it's what it does, and it did that as well. So you've got your element moved. So again, if something doesn't fit, maybe you see you've got physical space on the cast beds, and you can move the elements around and make them fit. So nothing really stops you from that. But right now, that's the cast. Let's create a report out of that. And that's, I'm just going to click on the tilt table here and click on print and go cast with pictures, for example, and print that. It will create an Excel spreadsheet, an XLS file with a QR code, which we will soon scan in the mobile app. Before we do that, I will apply some element controls to one element, so it's easier for us to go through and accept the process, basically, or approve the process. Now, I see that it popped up for me, and there it is. That's the Excel spreadsheet. It gives you a overview of the tables, gives you the date, gives you some basic info. What's the elements, the sizes, mass? Sorry, not the size. This is mass actually. The dimensions here, yeah, and some volume as well if required, and the QR code, which is the most important one for us right now. Before we go ahead, before I actually share the screen of the mobile app, I want to do another printout, and I want to, or the two printouts. I want to do the element labels for this table, and I want to do another one for a different table. That's for different purpose later on. For something that I'll show you in like 10-15 minutes. Okay, it should have popped up. What I did is I created now element labels. So they have the basic information again, similar information as you got in the cast table or other cast report. That's the basic dimensions of the element, what type of lift is used, and of course the QR code, which is the most important one that we want. Right, and with that, That's done, and let's go and create this one as well. It's pretty fast, and I'll just do it in the background, and I'll start actually moving on to the mobile application. That's this one. This one. All right, so that's my mobile application. That's on my phone live right now. And with that, let me just move that out of the way. What I'll do is I'll open up the cast that we did. I can click here to load that up. And I've got it. So basically, it will not be perfectly clear on your screen. Unfortunately, it's not perfectly clear on my screen either, as I'm using TeamViewer to connect to my phone. So there's basically a double stream that's happening right now. So there's going to be bad compression. Don't worry about it. That's SW16, 15, 14, 12, 13. Basically the elements that we've had on screen a second before, right? Just FYI, this process is universal across all the types of precast elements with the mobile app. It's just scanning QR codes to the elements and giving you the data that you need. So it doesn't really matter that we're doing it on sandwich panels. If you want to do it on different types of elements, this also checks out and it works. All right, but without further ado, I forgot to do one thing, but that's not a problem. I want to do a quality control requirement on one of the elements. How to do that? I can click on one element. Let me go ahead and do that. Yeah, so I isolated the sandwich panels. I selected the first sandwich panel here, which is the erection sequence number 5. Fine, that checks out. Now, what I want to do is I could click here and add element control here. There's nothing added, and I can do it this way. I could add it manually, this element control into this element, but I can also do that from here, add element controls. That's much faster. And I can add both the types of element controls that we have in the demo data set that we present here. And that's the standard pre-production control and standard production control. So basically you're required, before the element can move forward in the process of production, the following checks needs to be done, both the pre-production and post-production checks. What those look like, I'll show you in a second. There's a success, element controls have been added to selected elements, which is perfect. That's what we wanted. Now I'll go back to the app and I'll refresh. And a red mark appeared under on the SW16 wall. Okay, so let me go ahead and click on I here. I see the properties of the element. If you can make the text out, it's in Polish. I have my phone set in Polish. Some text is translated in Polish in the application. So basically that's it. Don't worry, it works perfectly in English. And there's text in English. Just depends on the settings on your phone. But going back, there's the element control icon on the bottom, and there's the pre-production controls and production controls. We are interested in the pre-production controls. I can select that. And here I have some checks, simple checks and measured checks. So simple checks, is formwork done? Yes, it is. Is reinforcement produced and accounted for? Yes, it is. So let's accept that. You'll see a date when it was approved. You'll see a name of this person who approved that. I'm logged in as myself in the app, so that's my name here. Then there's measured checks, and you can, for example, input the values. An expected value would be 2970 here, and I can accept that. And here an expected value would be 340. It's fine. Let's accept that. And let's save that. So my checks are done. Okay. And I can make it accepted. It wouldn't allow me to accept that if other checks weren't done. You can specify if checks are mandatory or not, because maybe you have the same set of checks for elements with openings and some with no openings. So maybe like the opening checks for openings or windows or door openings are not mandatory for all types of elements. And that's done. Let me move back. And right now, both the status of the element changed. It's 35 now. In our database, it basically means it's planned and approved, and the green tick is made. And that's basically means that that the check has been done. So easy to verify. I can mark the whole cast. I can either change the status of the elements and make them planned and approved in the app, which works, of course. Let's go back here. Status is changed. If I go to the model here, refresh that, some of the walls will of course have the status changed, which updates basically, I wouldn't say live because it doesn't update live. You have to refresh in Project Manager, but it is a very fast process and very easy to control things that are happening. And as you can see, those are the elements that have been planned and approved. Let's go back to the mobile app. Now I can change the cast to produced. Save that, like that. And now my tick, the status changed to 40 now. So the elements were produced, but this one still has a tick on it. Okay, why? That's because there's also a post-production control on it. So let me open that and check it. There's standard production control. Let's open that up. Has the element been produced? Yes. Is the concrete recipe okay? Has the element been demolded? Yes. Measure the checks. Now I'm just going to accept the values. Length and width of the element, so maybe too much shrinkage or not enough shrinkage. I'm going to save that. I'm getting a warning that the actual value is 0. So this is another like warning in the process mentioning that maybe the check hasn't been conducted as it should have been. Basically, of course, you can accept that if the value is 0, because maybe you decided the value that needs to be here should be 0. But basically, it gives you warning if values are not in the expected range. I'm just going to save that. Of course, it gives you a name and whatnot. The status again changed on the element, and the tick got green, which means we're all happy about the controls on the elements. And of course you can apply the element controls to multiple elements in the project. You can select the whole floor and apply that. So yeah, that works. Right. So now let me, yeah, it's set to produced. Now what I'll do here is I'll select this one element on the bottom. I'll go to it, and here there's the warning sign indicator. Basically it's disorder. So you can add disorders in the application to the elements. I'm going to add a disorder to the element. There's the date as a final date to resolve the issue. Status of the issue, it's active, or it's closed or resolved. You can input a type of reason for the issue, maybe production, maybe demolding, something happened, maybe finish is off. And you can of course input like a description here. What's wrong with this particular element? Maybe cracked finish, something like that. Of course, that you can be as verbose and descriptive as you want to be. I'll move that team viewer icon below, and you see you can attach a picture from your gallery, or you can take a picture. I'm going to take a picture. That's like that. Of course, that's taking a picture of a screen that's not always the best quality, but for demonstration purposes, I'm just going to demonstrate that yes, we can take pictures. With that, I'm going to create that issue, and we'll go back to the main screen of the app. There's the warning sign here, and we'll go to element IDs as well, and I'm going to refresh that. Let's see, we have some statuses changed here. The reason I'm not clicking on every single element and moving that from the app every single time, it's simply because the process is the same no matter the amount of elements that you're doing. It's just that more time it takes for the software to calculate stuff in the background. So in order to save my time, your time, we're not doing that, but it works fine. You see, I have a column here. Of course, the columns are customizable. You can add as much data in the table as you need, as you require. I have a column that shows me the disorders. If there are any disorders attached to an element, you can have multiple disorders on a single element. Of course, it's best if you don't. But if it happens, it happens, so it has to be fixed. Now it's just a matter of me selecting the element, selecting the disorders, and you can see see that. There's the name of that. There's actually a default translated name to that. Finish issue. You can change that here, of course. And what we can do is we can set the status. You can see immediately that the picture reloaded here. I think you can open that up. You can open that up in an external viewer as well to make it bigger. You've got the description as well and some hard data, element data in here. But we don't have much data on that element in the project actually. What you can do, you can either assign that to a person, make a final date to fix the issue, or you can mark the issue as resolved in here. If you go ahead, accept that, the issue is resolved. It won't show you here that the issue is resolved, it's that it's there, but you can of course go back to these orders and see what's happening, and there's a resolved issue on this particular element. But if we go back to the app, if we refresh that, in the app you will see the warning sign is green, which means issues have been resolved. What I'll do now is I'll select the whole cast, and I will assign, since the elements are produced, I will assign a storage location. What happened is assign storage 1 to the elements, and it changed the status of the elements as well. If I refresh that, it should give me the updated status of all the elements like so. Okay, so that's good, it's fun, and we're done with that. So we've got the issues sorted, we've got the quality control sorted as well, and we've got the elements here. And you can see there's the storage location assigned storage 1. Not very descriptive on my side, but yeah, it shows it works for demonstration purposes, right? Of course, your storage locations don't have to be storage 1 through 100. They can be something more verbose, but yeah, that's very customizable. Now, with that out of the way, we can actually proceed with production or the transport planning. Typically, now we can create storage stacks separately and transport separately. So basically, your trucks, lorries, whatnot, yeah, you can do those separately. I typically, for the sake of time saving and ease of use, I typically go ahead and do the transport planning from the transport planning first. Why? Because it will automatically create the stacks for me. I'll demonstrate that right now. So I have a button here. I selected the elements. I can select them, of course, from the model as well. And I can click the button here. This is auto transport. You don't have to do it automatically. You can do it by hand, but there's more clicking. If you have Impact nicely set up according to the stuff that you typically would use, typical truck sizes, typical like storage options or stacks for your elements, it works perfectly fine. So let's go auto transport and select a trailer. In here, what's important is if you want to force the software to use element dates, because ultimately you're the one who will judge whether the elements are ready or not, if they've been produced or not. And if you see there's a delay in production, then you can of course change the date here. So you can unclick the use element dates, and instead of using the 17th of October as a create date, to delivery date, you can choose whatever date it is that you want to use, and time as well. So you can input time as well. I will keep it to use element dates. You can specify the time interval for loading and whatnot. And yeah, that's mainly it. You can of course specify the delivery address if you have an address book input into Impact, and contact information as well for anyone who would be responsible for receiving the delivery. Let me go ahead and create that stack. There's 7 items that have been produced, and or they're not produced but planned. And as you can see, it doesn't look very nice. I mean, it looks nice. It's a nice model, but something's off, especially the levitating elements. That's because there's probably too many elements on that stack. We'll work with it. But before we do that, let me go ahead and do the hollow cores as well. Let's select a bunch of hollow cores, maybe 10 hollow cores. um, 10 or however many, this many, and let me create a truck for that. I need to use truck Excel because hollow cores are big. Yeah, that's 9 hollow cores, which is good. I'll create a hollow core view. There might be an issue, and I'll show what that issue might be. Yes, there will be an issue. And there's an issue. For example, the software didn't recognize that for hollow cores, the stack needs to be of a different type. And let me do that. So let me edit that stack. Let me go here, and that's going to be hollow core horizontal. And let's accept that. And you will immediately see how easy it is to fix stuff on the fly. Of course, that's not perfect because there's some silly element right there and the stack doesn't look all that perfect with it. No worries, we can fix that. Of course, you can, in the transport planning module, you can move stacks on the trucks, but in order to edit the stacks, you have to go to the stack planning, refresh that. And here you will see the stacks that we have created in the transport planning. So you can immediately see that, let's zoom that out. Okay, so that's the stack number 1, that's the elements of status 60. I'll show you something in the app that's very cool for transport control, but that's in a second. Let's fix the transport first. Okay, so let us, for example, merge this and this layer on, oops, I'm clicking too fast and the software is too slow to react. Okay, let's merge that. We are working on updates to make the process a bit more fluid. I'll show you it in a bit more detail. But yeah, we definitely will be improving that. Let's merge those layers again. You can of course move the elements individually as well. The software of course calculates the center of gravity of not this one. Let's merge those. Let's merge those. The software of course automatically calculates the center of gravity on the stack, which you can see here. There's the center of gravity on the width of the stack. There's the center of gravity calculated on the stack along the length of that stack on the A-frame in this case. Let's go here. In here, of course, there's the there's one of the elements that's left that I wouldn't stock it like this, of course, because that's a cutout element, cutout hollow core. So say I would move that up, so move that through layers. So it refreshes rather slowly, but we can move that element upwards in the process, basically. So like so, like so. You see the status here didn't change. That's because for hollow cores I didn't follow the whole process of changing status to planned and approved, to produced and approved. Basically you have to go one by one. Here I jumped a bunch of steps and the software kind of forced me to go back. Yeah, and like that. Of course, not perfect. Let's move that one more layer up. Let's move that to the top, or remove that element entirely from this stack, right? So it's not here, and that element has been removed, right? Of course, if it changed statuses, you could see in the statuses that one element has been unplanned. Well, let's go back to the transport planning. And I want to go to this transport that we did for the A-frames. Let's refresh everything, really, because it needs to be refreshed, and we'll see the changes that we did. Nice, it's done. One more thing, it also calculates the center of gravity on the trailer as well, or on the truck, load per axle. And here we see the load is marked in red, and the remaining is -1. That means that basically this stack is too heavy for this truck, at least in this location. But the other axle seems to be pretty fine. It still has quite a bit of load, so it's just a matter, sorry, not a bit of load, not a capacity. Well, we can just move that stack backwards. And like that, we've now reduced the, either increased the load on the rear axle for the trailer, and on the pin, that's now less of a load, so it's much easier for us now. If we want, of course, we can have a top view, and we can turn on our perspective view in that in the viewer. That's of course if you wish to do so. What I want to do now is actually print out a transport planning with picture, for example. We don't have to do pictures, but I want to show you that it will take the snapshot from whatever's in the view for the picture. I'll print that Excel and we'll go to the app. We'll go to the app in a second as soon as we get the transport one. Yeah. So we've got the transport label. We've got small picture here. We can make it bigger, of course, if need be, or realign that. And we've got a report of the transport, right? We got a QR code. I'll scan it in a second. I think I forgot to mention that, but basically, whatever's in here, the columns, the data that's fed into the report, like the order of where each data is, where the QR code is, of course the logos and whatnot. That's customizable to a high degree. You can't really modify all the type of data that you get for a particular type of report, but you do get quite a bit of freedom in terms of what data you can see. It's customizable, so it doesn't have to look exactly like this. Well, let's go back to the mobile app. I'm going to remove the elements from here, from this list. So now I cleaned up my phone. I want to load up not a cast, but a transport. So you can see it scans the elements super fast. I've got my transport 1. I have the elements. There's the one element that we had quality control on. There's the element that we had some issue on. Perfect. I can go click on the transport and I can click on this place here. And that's transport control. So what happens here basically is you can scan each element label while they're waiting on the pallets to make sure that proper elements are loaded onto the truck. That's why I prepared 2 files here. One with exactly what's in here, the element labels for exactly for those elements, and the separate one with different types of elements. So let me go ahead and first let's scan the QR codes. Let's scan the QR codes like that. So you see it marked green SW16. Okay, that's perfect. Let's go scan the other one. SW15 scanned. Okay, that's good. Let's scan another one, SW12, and let's scan the last one. That's probably an element I already scanned. SW14. Oh no, sorry. It caught on the okay. SW14. So we've got those. Now what happens if you scan an element that's not supposed to be on a particular truck? Let me zoom that in slightly so it's a bit bigger. Easier for my camera to follow a particular element. Okay. You get a warning. Immediately you get a warning. Oh, come on, scan it. Okay. Basically, you immediately get a warning sign that there's something's off. Something is off on the elements. So those are 2 elements that are not planned in this transport. You immediately get feedback that okay, it should not be there. If it's there, then don't pick it up, of course. But yeah, that's a nice little feature. And of course, you can change the status transport to make sure if all is good. You can send it out, and once you get information that it's delivered, you can get those elements or either this transport mark as delivered. If there's any issues, of course, on the elements, or other, you can attach pictures, for example, to the transport, make sure that it's loaded fully. I can specify the load dates and unload dates, times, load and unload times. If there's an issue that happens to an element, of course, you go to the element, you make an issue, and basically immediate feedback to the person who's actually sitting in front of the desk and doing the planning that something's off. And let's go back to the to transport. Let's change the status and let's make it delivered. Okay, there's one thing that you could still do with that. You could mark here the elements as erected in the applications. Once you actually install the elements, you can make sure that they are erected in the application as well. It will then change the status again in the software. However, I can't do that now, and that's because the planned erection date is in the future. So software also knows that basically if you're supposed to build something in a week, then you can't really mark it as built a week earlier. It doesn't allow you to do that. Of course, there are some advancements in the process, then the expected erection date should actually be also modified in software. Then it would allow you to change that and mark it as erected. Okay, and if we go back to the software, to Impact, that's here. If we go to model viewer, floor 1, and refresh that. Of course, those particular elements, they will be not grayed out, but they will change color, and they will the software will let you know that those particular elements are delivered. So we know those are delivered. We can have a look at the once it refreshes and allows me to click on stuff. Basically, there's this order. You can, of course, here you can check the capacity of the truck or capacity of the stack, and yeah, stacks on transport. You can specify how many are there. You can put multiple stacks on one transport. Of course, that's possible. No issues there. You can do that. Just a matter of putting a transport in. Now, basically, that's how we've gone through the whole process of the production planning in Impact, and we're right on time, really. It's almost on the hour. So let's go back and go over what we've done. So we've seen how to assign the erection sequence to the elements. We've seen how we set up rough planning dates for different types of elements, and this is the same for different types of elements, really. So it doesn't matter if it's hollow cores or sandwich panels, walls, slabs, precast panels. Doesn't matter. It's all the same workflow. We saw how to automatically cast plan the elements. We've seen how we can control quality with Impact Go app, how easy it is, how convenient, how easy it is to update basically live the database, and for this connection, this immediate connection between the plant and the office. We saw how to create reports on elements, how easy it is. Just mark the element, click print, get the report that you want. You saw how to change the statuses of the elements in the application as well, and we've seen automatic stack and transport planning in Impact. Basically, we've covered the whole workflow in a nutshell, more or less in an hour. But I hope it was very clear. I'm pretty sure it was very clear. If there are any questions, go ahead, shoot me an email. No problem, I'll get back to you. And with that, I would also like to basically thanks everyone. I would invite you to go to our LinkedIn, StruSoft, go to our official StruSoft official YouTube channel, where basically this webinar, for those who weren't fortunate to attend or weren't able to register but didn't actually attend, it will be placed there as well. And I'll of course invite you to go to our official website. And with that, I'd like to show you something. Basically, if you've not had the opportunity to try out Impact, use it, if you're interested after today's webinar, and we offer free trials, you can start basically immediately. You will be able to work on the same project that I've shown you here. That's our training, Impact Production Training project, basically. So you will be able to go through the process yourself, try it out, see how easy it is. Of course, Impact Go mobile app is included in that trial, so no issues there. Impact Go NG, that's the name of the app. It's available on both the Google Play Store and Apple App Store. So no worries, you can use that. The login credentials are the same as to the StruSoft portal that you would receive while applying for a trial. And how do you apply for a trial? Well, you go to the official StruSoft website, you go to Impact Precast, and on the left you'll see a tree, start your free trial today. And basically on every page you'll see this green area with start your free trial. Can't miss it really. You can go try Impact Production or the Impact Designs for CAD and Revit. Just click on that. It will take you to that nice little window. Click on Trial License. It will load up some form. Fill in that form, send it our way, submit it, and we'll get back to you with your trial info. Typically, that's 2-week trial, should be enough. If need more, we can discuss, no issues. Yeah, okay, so that would be it. I would thank you very much for your attention and have a lovely day. Yeah, thank you and goodbye.